Hello again and welcome to another edition of Small Caps. I'm Peter Capsanis. Well, QMines Limited has taken another step forward in its bid to be Australia's first zero carbon copper and gold producer following the release of its pre-feasibility study for its Mt Chalmers copper gold mine in northern Queensland. QMines, that's ASX code QML, has today delivered some breaking news to the market, which confirms the project is viable with a truckload of resource and a significant mine life. I won't steal his thunder any further. To tell us more, I'm joined by the company's Executive Chairman, Andrew Sparke. Andrew, good to have your company.
Great to be here, Pete. Thanks for your time today.
Look, so the PFS, it looks as though it has unveiled what you thought and hoped for. Break down the highlights for us.
Yeah, look, this is a pretty cool day for us. Obviously, it's a big, big result. It's taken us 9 months to get to this far. But yeah, essentially today, as you said, we released our pre-feasibility study, but also a maiden ore reserve statement, which underpins a 10.4-year mine life and a sixth resource update. So that's right, a sixth resource update in under 3 years. We're a young team, we're dynamic, we like to move, and we're flying. So in terms of the highlights, we're contemplating about a 1 million tonne per annum processing plant up at Mt Chalmers, which will be fed by a large open pit. It's a high grade deposit. It's shallow, okay, and it's got fantastic metallurgy. So effectively, without going right into the detail of the technical side, it makes a lot of money. Okay, as you probably saw, $636 million in free cash over 10.4 years. It's hard to not like that, especially when you're a 14 million market cap business. So it's a really exciting day. It points to a big upside, I think, for our shareholders over time as we start to get the market to price this in. But what's important is there's many more of these deposits that are still not in the mine plan. So we have known and repeatable growth in spades. So it's a really exciting day to be out here talking about it.
So for anyone not aware, Andrew, just paint us a map of where the Mt Chalmers project is. I know it's a historic copper and gold mine. It's in northern Queensland, but just paint us a picture of where it is for anyone that may not know, so we can hone in on a few things further on from that.
Absolutely. There's this beautiful thing up and down the coast called the Great Barrier Reef, and we're right at the bottom of the Great Barrier Reef, about 8 hours north of Brisbane. And what's really exciting about the project is we're not 500 k's from the nearest pub. We're 20 k's out of Rockhampton. We're right in amongst a large mining workforce, and there's obviously a lot of particularly coal mines north of us. So there's a lot of engineering capabilities in Rockhampton. So we're in a fantastic location to build another great Australian mine. So
yeah, you're well. It's a good segue to my next question. And I note you got Yeppoon in the north and Gladstone in the south from where you are. You've been drilling and surveying the area for a while, as you said. The initial mine life of at least 10.4 years would be quite exciting, not only for investors, Andrew, but also the local community. So what's the aim here? Are you looking at, employing a residential workforce if you do go ahead with that mining, that open cut mine?
Yeah, look, very good question, and this is a serious one. We really want to make this, benefit the local community. So we've set some initial targets. We've already got a lot of local contractors involved in the business. With a lot of our shareholder base is Queensland based, and we've sort of made it quite clear in a lot of our ESG type reporting that we want to have a minimum of 50% of the of local sort of landowners and whatnot, local community employed in the mine. As I said, we're only 20 k's out of Rockhampton, so there's a fantastic community there which can benefit from it. We are investing heavily in the asset, so I think we've invested probably about $25 million in it so far since listing only 3 years ago. And the great thing is that's already had a lot of fantastic benefits for various parts of the community there. So we're going to continue to do that. The big part of our environmental strategy here is to, as I said before, procure locally. Not only on the on the employment side, but also goods and services. So we want to use local businesses. We're talking with local shed builders, about the development side. We're using local excavation groups. We're using local drillers. There's a lot of that stuff going on. So yeah, I think that's an important part of building a social license to operate, as you probably hear a lot about. So it's a big part of our ethos.
Your social license and your ethos are two elements I want to hone in just a second. But I did see in your announcement that it's not only copper and gold, there was zinc and silver resource in the mix as well. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. So copper and gold represents probably about 80% of the economics of this deposit. But you're right, there is some zinc, there is some silver, and there's actually a new metal here called sulfur, which a lot of people won't really talk about a lot in this space. But by doing a lot more metallurgical test work on the deposit, we've worked out that we can actually extract another mineral economically and add additional value to the project. So we've got quite a big sulfur resource at Mt Chalmers, and also another asset that we own part of. We're working towards owning 100% of, called Devlin Creek. So there is some additional value streams there that we'll be looking at as part of an updated strategy, which we'll talk about shortly, where we think there's some opportunity to vertically integrate and capture some more value out of these deposits by mining what would typically be seen as sort of waste products and processing them a little further to capture more value. So it's a chat for another day, but there's definitely other metals here, which gives us that great diversification of sort of income streams. Yep.
All right, Andrew. So in terms of mining activity, do you have enough question on everyone's tongue, cash at bank to support that, or will you look at doing future cap raises?
Yeah, look, we do. So at the end of the quarter, I think the quarterly just came out. We had about 1.4 million. But it's important to put that in context and say that we have been working on bringing down our corporate costs over the last couple of quarters, and that's really starting to pay dividends, particularly the last 2 quarters. So we don't have a very high overhead, so that'll give us quite a nice runway. And importantly, I have been working on with some other groups, a number of funding strategies that don't require on-market equity. So, I have cleansed myself by talking in the quarterlies about having a data room open with some quite large royalty groups, private equity groups, traders and things, smelters and whatnot that we are talking to. And the reason for doing that is we're trying not to, as best we can, go back to the equity markets because we're so undervalued, like a lot of the rest of our peers at the moment. The elephant in the room is it has been a tough, backdrop for everything, below the producers in the last 2 years. So there is deep underlying value in this sort of copper development space. And so because of that, we're really keen to look at alternative ways to fund this that don't dilute our shareholders, so we can really maintain the upside for them going forward.
And in terms of markets, where's the focus? Is it domestic, abroad, or both?
Look, it's a good question. We've actually set this up so that we can go either way. Okay, so you mentioned before that we're located near the large port of Gladstone, which is only about 60 km by rail to the south of us. That gives us the opportunity to export some of these concentrates offshore if we so choose. And so we've got fantastic, a lot of metallurgical test work that's really shown that they're very good concentrates with low deleterious elements, and I won't get into the technical details, but certainly that is a viable path to revenue generation. The other thing we're looking at is there an opportunity to potentially, if we don't find capital on attractive terms from say the traders and whatnot, can we further vertically integrate and take those concentrates to refined products? And I'll have more to say about this as a bit of a strategy update going forward. So a little something to get you interested in. But so there's a number of ways we can do it. Obviously, in Queensland there are a couple of smelters, so we're really lucky that there's zinc and lead smelters up in Townsville. There's copper and smelters up in Mount Isa, and obviously precious metal smelters close to Brisbane. So we do have a lot of optionality there in terms of how we refine these products, whether we take them offshore or whether we keep them in Queensland.
Okay. I want to go back to a couple of points you made earlier about and exploring that mantra of zero carbon copper and the first zero carbon copper and gold producer in Australia. How do you achieve that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We've obviously started. We listed, just under 3 years ago, and right at the start, we knew that this was a business that had to get through the the permitting approvals process to become a mine. We obviously had aspirations or a vision to be a genuine sort of mining business. So we knew that environmental aspect was really important to getting through that process successfully. So we basically looked into quite early before it became a bit of a buzzword, this whole ESG and whatnot, how we could actually do things more sustainably. So up on site, if you ever get the chance to come up, you'll see there's multiple solar power systems up there. There's wind turbines. There's battery backup systems. We're using what we call AWTS systems for our wastewater treatment. So we're reusing water on site. We've got environmental monitoring stations, so we're capturing a lot of data on noise, dust, and all those sort of things, so we can really make sure we minimise the impact on the local community. So we're really doing a lot of things to try and show that we can do this sustainably, and there is a different way here. And that's about, we talked about before, building a strong social license to operate in the regional town. So that's something that has been top of mind. We're not, we are very much, profit shareholders are very important to us, but also we think that there's a win-win strategy where we can, do both. And we also believe that if we can develop this business sustainably, there will be, some economic benefits, whether it's premium product pricing for our products or lower cost of capital when we go to, develop the mines. So without going into too much detail, that's the sort of the I suppose the vision behind that strategy.
So what's been the reaction on the ground today from locals? Have you spoken to anyone? Have they called you? Are they licking their lips, ready for a boost in jobs?
Yeah, look, I think we're building. We're taking the slow path. We're trying to really build relationships, and we've got some really great supporters up there around the mine site that are really backing us, and there's a lot of local community members who are benefiting from all the work that's going on up there. So that's been really important. But I think any newcomer into a new regional town, you've got to. I think it's really important to show that you're here for them as much as your shareholders, and we can work together and all benefit from this opportunity collectively. So yeah, so we're getting some positive, certainly getting some positive feedback. There's always a couple that just take a little bit of time, but being honest, they're largely we've had a great experience up there, and we've certainly been welcomed.
All about relationships, isn't it? All right, so this study, it's a good blueprint and roadmap. Does it now cement your future, or do you just take it easy now, or what are the next steps? What do we do now to sort of get the timeline of the mine up and running?
Yeah. Really good point. If you know that this team, you will never use that frame, take it easy. It's just, we really pride ourselves as being doers. So, we're young, we're motivated, we're big shareholders in the business. We're economically, financially incentivized to really move this forward, quickly. And what's really important here is that we think that if we can actually get this to production in that first half of the next economic cycle for minerals, particularly with this backdrop looming around renewable energy and the use of copper and all that sort of thing, we think that's the time when we can really maximise returns for our shareholders. Typically, if you get a mine into the market and selling product right at the end of the cycle, you really don't capture all the higher pricing and things that really generate outsized returns for shareholders. So we've thought a lot about where we want to be, when we want to get there, how we want to get there, and so a big part of our strategy is to move rapidly to get this mine. And actually, there's 3 other deposits that we'd like to build into this operation, get them ready for development, as quick as we can, so that we can really capture those that higher pricing environment at the start of the economic cycle.
So I'll press a bit more. Have you got
Sure.
have you got a date in mind in terms of for any investor looking watching and listening right now? Is it 6 months, 12 months, 18 months away before you
Yeah, look,
start digging?
I think being candid, it's probably a 3 to 4 year process, for us from here. It really depends on, your access to capital on attractive terms. And it also really depends on, the environmental regulator, that's obviously the time frame that's out of our control. So for those of you who know the business will know that we are a team that hits our deadline. So if we say sort of 3 to 4 years, we mean it. So that's something that we're really focused on. But obviously, yeah. So it takes time, as you probably see in the media, to get these things ready to go. But in that time, the great thing is that we can work on bringing in 3 other deposits into that mine plan and really supercharge the economics. Make it a lot more attractive for our shareholders, as well as take it down that sort of, permitting and approvals path. So there will be a lot more growth initiatives that will be, or levers that we'll be pulling in that time frame whilst we go through those, those permitting and approvals process.
Yeah. All right. Well, it definitely sounds like that the news flow for QMines Limited will continue to flow for some time to come. So with that, Andrew Sparke from QMines Limited, thanks for your time on Small Caps today. We certainly look with interest on the next round of news and announcements concerning the company. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us on Small Caps today.
Great. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate your time.